Hello again, everyone. This is Rock Gabar, here as always, seeking the truth. My video topic for today will be addressing the lost tribes of Israel. I have another brother in the truth with me here today who's going to be bringing forth the commentary. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Shalom, family. I'm Ak Yasah, and I'll be the reader for tonight.
So again, like I said, Ak Yasah, he's going to be bringing forth the commentary over the scriptures as I'm bringing forth the commentary for the actual lesson. Now, for anyone that's watched any of my videos or subscribed to my page before, you may have known that I already have a video for the lost tribes that I've already created in the past. This video is going to be the same information. It has a lot more information than what was previously listed. So go ahead if you want to get a pen and paper, take notes. But I definitely also encourage you to look at the other videos on my playlist following this video. Okay. Now, there are a lot of false doctrines out there that teach that the 12 tribes of Israel are a lost nation and we don't know who they are on the earth today. That is a lie that is meant to keep God's people asleep while the evil rulers of this world continue to have power in the earth. The so-called Jewish people that have claimed the land of Israel today are in no way the bloodline descendants of Hebrew Israelites. In fact, the powers that rule over the Jewish religion actually worship Satan. To prove that, the first scripture we're going to go to is coming from the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. Go ahead and get that scripture for me, please.
The book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
The Most High Power is talking to the children of Israel in this verse. And he is telling them that he understands that they are physically poor and suffering, but in spirit they are rich. He also knows the blasphemy, which is the lies, of those impostors that claim to be Jews, but are actually the head worshippers of Satan. Whether they know it or not, the Jewish people practicing Judaism today are actually worshiping Satan. The real nation or nationality of Israelites comes from the 12 sons of Jacob. Jacob's name was later changed to Israel after wrestling with an angel. And you can read that for yourself in the book of Genesis, chapter 32, verses 27 through 28. But like I said, after Jacob's name was later changed to Israel after wrestling with an angel, this is why his descendants are called Israelites. The 12 tribes of Israel and who they are primarily called today in the earth are the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah today is primarily known as the modern-day Negro here in America. The tribe of Reuben. The tribe of Reuben is primarily the Aborigines of Australia. The tribe of Gad, those are known as the North American Indians. The tribe of Asher, those are the modern-day Venezuelans and Brazilians, people of South America. The tribe of Naphtali, those are the modern-day Hawaiians and Samoans. The tribe of Manasseh, those are the modern-day Cubans. The tribe of Simeon are the modern-day Dominicans. The tribe of Levi are the modern-day Haitians. The tribe of Issachar are the modern-day Mexicans. The tribe of Zebulon are the people primarily that live around the Panama and Colombia. The tribe of Ephraim are the modern-day Puerto Ricans. And the tribe of Benjamin are the modern-day Jamaicans and people of the West Indies. Now, we can distinguish what nationality or tribe of people are from today based on certain geographical locations that the Bible tells us people migrated to. And even more specifically, by analyzing the prophecies that pertain to certain people. Each of the 12 tribes had a specific attributes that they would one day be recognized by. Now, before we go into the breakdown of who each of the 12 tribes are today, let's analyze the importance of these 12 tribes in the last days. Now, to get that understanding, we're going to go to the book of Revelation, starting at chapter 7, reading from verses 2 through verse 9. Go ahead and get that scripture for me, brother.
The book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Verse 3, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of the Most High in their foreheads. Verse 4, And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. verse 5.
Hold that. So far we know that this in the last days, an angel is going to come and seal the servants of God with the Most High's name in their forehead. And then 144,000 of these people will be all from the children of Israel. So to say that the children of Israel are done away with, how is that so when the book of Revelation, which is talking about the end days, is highlighting the tribe of Israel, or excuse me, the nation of Israel? So we'll continue, verse 5.
Verse 5. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000.
That's modern day Negroes.
Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000.
The so-called Aborigines of Australia.
Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000.
Modern day North American Indians.
Verse 6. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000.
The modern day Brazilians and Venezuelans.
Of the tribe of Nephthalim were sealed 12,000.
That's the tribe of, I apologize, the modern day Hawaiians and Samoans.
Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000.
Modern day Cubans.
Verse 7. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000.
Dominicans.
Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000.
Haitians.
Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000.
Modern day Mexicans.
Verse 8. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000.
People from Guatemala all the way to Colombia surrounding the Panama Canal.
Of the tribe of Benjamin, Salakia, of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000.
When it's talking about Joseph, it's talking about Ephraim, because Ephraim was one of the descendants of Joseph. So Joseph is talking about the modern day Puerto Ricans.
Of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000.
And again, Benjamin being the modern day Jamaicans and people of the West Indies.
Verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
Now in the last days, once Christ returns, he will save 144,000 men from the nation of Israel to be leaders in the kingdom. This is not saying that only Israel will make it. Verse 9 tells us that in the great multitude, there will be people from all nations. But the nation of Israel is being highlighted as the servants of the Most High. Now, let's break down how we know who each of these tribes are today. Before Jacob, or Israel, passed away, he told his children what would happen to their descendants in the last days. These are all key indicators into knowing who each of these tribes are today. Now, to get this breakdown, we're going to go read from the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and we're going to start at verse 3.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 3. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Verse 4. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch.
So the Aborigines of Australia today, they still don't use much modern technology. Unlike the rest of the tribes, the indigenous people of Australia still live very scarcely off of the land. So this is what it meant when this, in verse 4 was talking about thou shalt not excel. He was talking about they will not excel like the other tribes. All right, so that breaks down the tribe of Reuben, who again is modern day Australians. Next verse, Genesis chapter 49, verse 5. Now we're going to talk about the tribe of Simeon and the tribe of Levi, who they are today.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations.
Now the reason why this verse specifies Simeon and Levi as brethren is because in the last days they would live in the same place. Today, this is the land of Hispanolia. We know this to be true because they're instruments of cruelty that is in their land. There's a well-known fact that Haiti is the home of a cruel witchcraft called voodoo. On the other side of the island, it is common for Dominicans to practice bruja or santeria. Now back in Israel, Levi was renowned for dealing with the spiritual world because they were the priests of the tribes. Simeon only picked up these traits by dealing so closely with them. Another indicator as to who Levi is today is given in the book of Malachi. So the next scripture that we're going to go to is coming from the book of Malachi, and then we're going to read from chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. And again, the book of Malachi, that's basically going to show us who the tribe of Levi is. The last. So again, the scripture that we're going to go to is the book of Malachi, chapter 2, verses 1 through 3.
All right, this is the book of Malachi, chapter 2, verse 1. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. Salaki. This commandment is for you. Verse 2. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of the hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye do not lay it to heart. Verse 3. Behold, I will corrupt your seed, and spread doing dung, Salakia, upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it.
So because the Levites corrupted the laws of the Most High, they were cursed worse than the other tribes. It was even prophesied that they would one day spread dung on their faces. Now, food is so scarce and malnutrition is such a problem in Haiti, it is common for people to eat what they call dirt cookies, and sometimes they even call it dung pies. So obviously dung, that is, feces that's left on the ground. So that was prophesied in the book of Malachi. Now, again, that was breaking down who the tribe of Levi and Simeon were. Now, going on to the next tribe, the tribe of Judah, going back to Genesis chapter 49, when we read verses 8 through 9. This is going to give a breakdown of the tribe of Judah and who they are today. Genesis chapter 49, verses 8 through 9.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Now Judah is the tribe that all the other tribes will praise, primarily because this is the tribe that Christ came from, but also because Judah is the tribe of kings. Typically when Judah does something, all the other nations follow. This is still very true today. The so-called Negros lead the world in setting popular trends in things like music and fashion. They are known for having the best athletes when it comes to organized movements, whether it be religious, political, or otherwise. Negroes always have a strong voice that many other nations seem to follow. So this is how we know that the tribe of Judah is the modern day Negro. Alright, moving on to the next tribe, the tribe of Zebulun. This is going to be the modern day Panamanians and Colombians. We're going to go to the book of Genesis chapter 49, jumping down to verse 13.
The book of Genesis chapter 49, verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon.
So it is widely known that the Panama Canal is the world's most popular shoreline connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Now the native people from Guatemala all the way to Colombia are all from the same tribe. They're all from the tribe of Zebulun. Why? Because Zebulun was known to be a haven for ships, talking about the Panama Canal. Next tribe is going to be the tribe of Issachar. Again, saying in Genesis 49, reading verses 14 through 15.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. Verse 15. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
Now this verse gives us an attribute for Issachar. He will be known to work with and like a strong ass. An ass is a donkey. Now there is no secret that the donkey is most familiarized with the people of where? Mexico. Issachar would be also known to rest. In Mexican culture, it is common for workers to rest in the early afternoon. This midday rest is known as a siesta, or a short nap, and nobody in the world is known more for this than the Mexicans. Issachar would be known as a servant for tribute. A tribute is basically a servant for hire. Mexicans are most widely known today for coming to America to work. That is their key attribute that sets them apart from everyone else. No other nationality is known for going to work for wages in another country as much as Mexicans are. So Mexicans, that's the modern day, I apologize, the tribe of Issachar are known today as the modern day Mexicans. The next tribe is going to be talking about the tribe of Gad. All right, we're going to go to, again, Genesis chapter 49, verse 19.
Book of Genesis chapter 49, verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
A troop is an army or a company of soldiers. Now, when the British came over and they colonized America, the people that took over, the people that they took over were the Native American Indians. Okay? So again, the troop is referring to the modern day, not the modern day, but the British colonists that came over and colonized America. And the people that they took over were the Native American Indians. So that's how you know the Native American Indians are the troop of Gad, or the tribe of Gad. All right, the next tribe is going to be the tribe of Asher. Again, staying in Genesis 49. Now we're at verse 20.
The book of Genesis chapter 49, verse 20. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties.
Royal dainties. Now these royal dainties that would make Asher fat is oil. We know this to be true because of what is written in the book of Deuteronomy. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and 24. Hold where you're at in Genesis 49 because we're going to come back. But just to make sure that we know what these royal dainties are, we're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, and read verse 24.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 24. And of Asher, he said, let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil.
In oil. So Venezuela is one of the most oil-rich countries in the world. The original inhabitants of Venezuela moved all throughout Brazil and even all the way down to Argentina. So again, the original people of Venezuela, Brazil, and Argentina, and all throughout South America, that is the tribe of Asher. All right, going back to the book of Genesis. Now we're going to go to the next tribe, the tribe of Naphtali. So we're in Genesis chapter 49. We're at verse 21.
The book of Genesis chapter 49, verse 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words.
Goodly words. So the people of Hawaii are known for their kind greetings of aloha. So aloha is their goodly words. Another indicator for Naphtali would be where he would live. We can find this again going again to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, and we're going to read verse 23. This is going to let us know where the tribe of Naphtali would live in the last days.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 23. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full with the blessing of the Most High, possess thou the west and the south.
So the word for west in this verse is yom. Now I know in our English Bibles that we read today, it says the word west. But when you look up this word in the Strong's Concordance, we're going to find out that that word west is not necessarily what that word means. So brother, go ahead and read me the Strong's Concordance number and what the definition of that word yom really is.
All right, this is Strong's Concordance number H3220 for the word yom, and it means a sea or large body of water.
So yom, which is the word that's used here for west, actually means a sea or large body of water. So in this verse is telling us that Naphtali would inhabit the seas of the south. Okay? I know it says the west in the south, but it really means possess the seas in the south, or the seas of the south. So the people of the South Pacific Ocean are the Hawaiians and the modern day Samoans. So that is the tribe of Naphtali, Hawaiians and Samoans. All right, moving down to the next tribe, the tribe of Joseph. This is going back to the book of Genesis. We're going to read Genesis chapter 49, verses 22 through 23.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful ball, even a fruitful ball by a wall, whose branches by a well, Salakia, by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Verse 23. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him.
Now Joseph is a very fruitful nation, meaning that this tribe will be known for having multiple children. Upon Jacob's deathbed, he blessed Joseph's 2 children as his own. We're going to get that understanding going back to the Genesis chapter 48. We're going to read verses 3 through 5. We're going to get the understanding of who Joseph is. It's actually broken down to 2 tribes.
The book of Genesis, chapter 48,
verses 3 through 5.
Verses 3 through 5. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine.
So the 2 nations that came out of Joseph were Ephraim and Manasseh. Today, these nations are the Puerto Ricans and Cubans. Both of these nations are known for having many children, and they also like for their families to live together for 2 or 3 generations. Now, that's what the verse meant, whose branches run over the wall. Now, the archers who sorely grieved them were the Spanish conquistadors. Excuse me, that's how you say that word, conquistadors. Now, when Spain came over and colonized Puerto Rico, they forcefully took many of the Israelite women and traded them as sex slaves. Now, due to this intermingling, many of the descendants of Joseph have a lighter skin complexion than most Israelites. This was also prophesied to happen in the Bible. We're going to get that understanding by reading from the book of Hosea. So the book of Hosea, chapter 7, verses 8 through 9.
The book of Hosea, chapter 7, verses 8 and 9. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Verse 9. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth not.
So a cake that is not turned is dark on one side and light on the other. This is a reference as to how some descendants of Ephraim are dark-skinned and some are light-skinned. Okay? But again, Joseph, when it's talking about the tribe of Joseph, we're talking about both Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay? Moving on to the next tribe, the last tribe is going to be the tribe of Benjamin. Going back to the book of Genesis, verse 27. Again, we're talking about the tribe of Benjamin, Genesis 49, verse 27.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil.
Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, there was a tribe of slaves that strongly rebelled against the British government and colonization. This nation of people were called the Maroons. Today, these people are the inhabitants of Jamaica and the islands of the West Indies. Now, the question might be asked, if so-called blacks, Indians, and Hispanics are all from the tribes of Israel, then how did they get here to the Americas? To understand that, you have to understand that the curses that Israel suffered for not keeping the Most High's laws. To get that curse, we're going to read from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, read verse 15.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now, as a result, for not following the Most High's commandments, there were many curses that Israel ended up suffering. One of these curses was that they would be scattered all throughout the earth. We're going to get that understanding. Again, same chapter, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. We're going to read now verse 64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So the other gods of wood and stone that Israel would end up predominantly serving are the gods of Christianity and Islam. The wood is the cross in Christianity, and the stone is the Kaaba stone in Islam. Now around 930 BC, the nation of Israel split into two kingdoms. The southern kingdom consisted of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They were known as the House of Judah. Now the northern kingdom consisted of the remaining 10 tribes. They were known as the House of Israel. The northern kingdom, under the rule of King Jeroboam, completely went away from following the Most High's laws and started to worship like the surrounding Gentile nations did. The southern kingdom, under rule of King Rehoboam, attempted to continue following the Most High's laws under King David, but eventually they also fell. We'll get this understanding in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verses 13 through 16.
The book of 2 Kings, the Salakia. Book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 13. Yet the Most High testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Verse 14. Notwithstanding they would not hear, but hardened their necks like the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in the Most High their power. Verse 15. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom the Most High had charged them, that they should not do like them. Verse 16. And they left all the commandments of the Most High their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal.
So here we see that the northern kingdom made the Most High angry because they started worshiping other gods. Predominantly the calf or the bull god named Yahweh. Now the 2 calves were named there were 2 calves actually there. It was the 2 calves were named Yahweh and Jehovah. Today you can find this name spelled using the Tetragrammaton. Now we're going to continue on reading verses 18 through 20.
This is the book of 2 Kings, verse 18 through 20. Therefore the Most High was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Verse 19. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Most High their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. Verse 20. And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight.
So here we see that the house of Israel was sent away from the land of Israel. Now, much of the northern kingdom was taken over during the Assyrian captivity in around 740 BC. But many people from those tribes, from those 10 tribes, fled prior to their captivity. The question is, where did these people go? This information is found in the part of the Bible that the Roman Catholic Church had taken out. The Apocrypha is the compilation of the 14 books that should appear in between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, one of those books is called the book of Esdras. In this book, we'll find out what happened to those 10 tribes. So we're going to read from the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 13, verses 40 through 42.
This is the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40 through 42. And those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. Verse 41. For they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. 42. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
So we can see this is the same story that I just mentioned that happened in the book of 2 Kings. Now those 10 tribes of Israel are fleeing from the Assyrians. Now again, where did they go? Find this out, continue on, verses 43 through 45.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 43 through 45. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. Verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth.
So we see here that the lost 10 tribes sailed into the lands that no man had ever lived before. All these lands were called Arsareth, which basically just means hidden land. Every place that the so-called white man discovered that already had indigenous people living there was land that the Israelites fled to way back in 739 BC. This includes all the Americas and Australia. Even in secular history, many historians attest to there being Hebrew cultures being found, Hebrew cultures being followed by the native people of North and South America. This explains how the northern tribes got to the Americas. But how did the southern kingdom get to the Americas? We're going to find this out, or we'll get some clues about this going into the New Testament. So now the next scripture is going to come from the book of Luke, chapter 21, verses 20 through 21.
This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 20 through 21. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Now in 70 AD, the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans. Prior to this destruction, the southern tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, fled from Jerusalem. They traveled over the Atlas Mountains into the wilderness of Africa. Now the southern tribes survived in Africa all the way up until around the 1400s, when they began to be persecuted by both Arabs, which are the descendants of Ishmael, and Hamites, which are the modern day Africans. Now many people believe that the people that were taken from Africa are from the same bloodline as Africans. This is also not true. Hamites did not sell their own people into slavery. They sold Israelites. Israelites are descendants of Shem, while Africans are descendants of Ham. Proof of this can be found in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary under the meaning of Ham. Brother, go ahead and read the definition of Ham for me in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negros, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
So Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. This proves that the black people brought to America during slavery were not Africans. There is no such thing as an African American. The transatlantic slave trade was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. What prophecy? Going back to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, we're going to read verse 68.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now the Most High told Israel that if they did not follow his commandments, that he would send them into Egypt again with ships. The only entire nation of people that were sold into slavery by way of ships were the so-called Negroes. Many people from the northern tribes were also sold into slavery as well, but this prophecy primarily pertained to the southern tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Now the word Egypt in this verse is not referring to the actual land of Egypt. It's referring to the condition that Israel was in while they were in Egypt. The word Egypt is synonymous with the word bondage. How do we know? You can go read that in the book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 2.
The book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Most High thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
The house of bondage. So Egypt is the house of bondage. The landmass of Egypt was originally called Mitzrayim. It was later called Egypt because of the hard bondage that Israelites suffered there. Now, if Indians, Hispanic, and Negroes are all actually Israelites by blood, why is it that we don't know our own heritage? Why is it that we don't know who we are? We'll get this answer in the book of Jeremiah. Next scripture coming from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Because Israel broke the commandments of the Most High, he cursed us to forget who we were. And so one day when we finally would wake up out of our sleep and begin to come back to following his laws. Next scripture is coming from the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. Almost done. Got two more scriptures. Again, the scripture coming from the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11.
The book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that, knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
Israel has been asleep for far too long. But now we are in the last days. And the Holy Spirit is starting to wake up God's chosen people, along with anyone else that is willing to follow the Most High and his truth. Now the last scripture is coming from the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verses 14 through 17.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verses 14 through 17. Wherefore he saith, Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Most High is.
In order for us to come to the truth, we must be wise and have knowledge. Not just random knowledge, but the understanding of the Bible and the words of the Most High. This is the only thing that will make everything make sense, and the only thing that will get us into the kingdom. Now, obviously, I know that was a lot of information. That's why I encourage you to take notes. Please feel free to go back through this video and check any scriptures for precepts if you missed them. Now, like I started off saying, there are other videos in my playlist following this video that goes into more detail about each of these specific tribes. As always, I encourage people to don't take my word for it, to go out there and do your own research. But I do hope that you found this video informative. If you did, feel free to hit like, subscribe to my page for further videos. Again, thank you for watching, and as always, shalom, and remember, no matter what, to always seek the truth. Shalom.